All right. It's saying going live, going live. You are live. What is going on, everybody? RogersBase here. Welcome to the very first episode of season 2 of my 1v1 discussion series. And I am joined by somebody who, quite frankly, has been taking the One Piece community by storm, especially on YouTube recently. This is the one and only Murphy Napier. Thank you so much for joining me today. Everyone is so excited to talk to you and see you. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And just chat so you know, he did promise right before we went live that he was going to start Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson.
Oh, wait. I didn't promise that. I said I would think about it. Hold on a minute.
I heard you say, I've given my word. Since you tried One Piece, I'll try this. I heard it. You said the words.
All right, you've already got the chat going off saying this is hype, this is great, is this real life? I can't believe this. Did you really just do that? But I'm going to repeat something that I said right before we started recording again, because I do think it's really important. I think you've been such a force for good in the One Piece community recently. And what I mean by that is I think there are so many One Piece YouTubers and content creators who really just focus on, oh, Oda can do no wrong. Oda's like the absolute best. Everything he does is perfect. And I appreciate the fact that you come at this series with a critical eye. Obviously, you love the series, and I love the series. But a lot of the time when I'm doing reviews week to week, I feel like I'm alone when I'm criticizing certain aspects, like the absurd aspects of the series. And so as soon as I started watching your videos, like literally your very first one in your catch-up series, I was going, oh, okay, this is a content creator I like. I need to talk to her at some point. I appreciate this. So I just want to start this off by saying, seriously, thank you for being a part of this community. We are happy to have you with open arms. And one other quick thing I want to mention at the very beginning of this, too, for anybody who's in the live chat, trust me, I will not be spoiling Murphy on anything. People are so scared. They're like, Roger's going to accidentally spoil something. I'm like, I promise I will not do that. I do not want people coming for my head. So that won't be happening. And in fact, I'll be screening questions in the chat as well. So if anything comes up that I think is even remotely questionable in terms of something that might happen later in the series, we'll be good to go. So yeah.
That's good. I'm not looking at the chat.
Good.
I only have Discord pulled up. I don't even have the video pulled up.
That's exactly what I wanted. Excellent. But well, even though you can't see the chat, like I said, everybody's very happy. They're all going, woo, welcome to the community, Murphy. We got King Recon in the chat, lots of other people. So the very first thing I'm going to ask you, I'm going to throw you a softball real quick. What is your favorite arc of One Piece so far, and why?
Okay. It's a good question. I think that the most masterfully executed arc is Marineford.
All right.
However, my favorite arc is either Water 7 or Enies Lobby.
Interesting. All right, good. That's a very solid pick, too. Lots of people love Water 7 and Enies Lobby. So I'm curious then, we'll start there. We'll go backwards then. We'll start with Water 7 and Enies Lobby and then talk about Marineford a little bit. What was it about Water 7 that really endeared you to the series and wanted you to keep moving forward and endeared you to the cast? If people haven't already watched your videos, which they absolutely should.
Thanks. I think it was actually, surprisingly enough, it was Skypiea that won me over, which looking back, Skypiea doesn't make my top list.
Okay, interesting.
Guys, yeah. But I think, so I've mentioned this a couple of times, but I went into One Piece completely blind. I just had one very persistent commenter that was determined to get me to read One Piece, to the point that he even changed his YouTube name to Murphy Read One Piece.
Wow.
And
shout out to that YouTuber, I gotta say. Thank you very much, whoever did that. Appreciate that.
Yeah. And my manga experience was almost zero at this point. So I wasn't involved in the community. I didn't know what was popular. So I just bought the first 3 volumes, read those, and then was going to make a video on it, and multiple people told me, no, you need to read the first saga first. So I bought the rest of them, read through 12. I went in not knowing the genre, not knowing the fandom, did not know that it was this big, not knowing what the basic elevator pitch for it was. So I'm reading it, and I'm thinking, lighthearted, fun, good time. I guess I kind of saw it more like Wizard of Earthsea or something like that, where it's very episodic.
Sure.
And it is in a way, but IPO was the first time where I realized how deep the characters go and how vast this world is. And not just vast, but how intentional it is. It was when I started making connections and I started seeing callbacks and started seeing, oh, these characters matter. And they're not just one-off. You know, I didn't just see a whale and it was like, oh, that's weird. Okay, that was a good story.
He has like a straw hat logo on his face, smacking his head into the mountain. What's going on with this whale? Exactly.
Right, exactly. So like for a while there, I'm like, okay, we're fighting a circus today. Sure, this is fun. And, you know, and I was having a good time. I was laughing. There were really emotional moments that were hitting me hard. But it wasn't until Skypia that I realized we're coming back to this stuff.
Yes.
And this stuff actually is like, this is a world that's connected and that's thought out. And one of my favorite things in writing, and one of the things that oftentimes establish my favorite authors, is intentionality. When I can get to the end of a book and I can see how every little detail was intentional and all comes together, that makes me want to go back and reread it right away so I can find the connections. Of course. You know, that kind of stuff, and a world that feels it's breathing, you know.
And I'm assuming that's probably why you chose to do the reread you're doing right now. So if anybody is unfamiliar, basically Murphy went through the entire first half of One Piece, and then right now is going back and rereading through those earlier story arcs, and now you're starting to see like those connections in place, like, oh, things are coming up in the very first few chapters again and again and again and looping together. So what was sort of like your first mind-blowing connection that you made, that you went back and you were rereading something and went, oh my God, I can't believe they're bringing this up again?
Right. You know, actually, the thing that's consistently blown me away is I'm finding, and I might make a video about it someday. I don't know if I'm skilled enough to do it, but I'm finding that so far, every moment, or I should say almost every moment, that is that character's moment, right? So like Robin's I Want to Live, and Zoro's Nothing Happened. Almost every single one of these moments, every character has one of those, has that line too.
Sure.
Like I recently found Usopp's Nothing Happened moment in Syrup Village. And like he actually said the words "nothing happened" after he made a big sacrifice and he didn't want anyone to know about it. He didn't want to take credit. And like with Robin's I Want to Live, almost every character already, as I'm doing the reread, has said, "I'm happy to live. I want to live. I'm glad I lived." You know, like these things. And it's like he puts a spotlight on one character that makes us all go, "Whoa!" Yeah. But then all like, before that moment, he's already done it with everybody else. And I love that just those little connections to the cast, that they're so different, and their personalities are so different in their goals and their missions and in what they care about, but that they have that thread that connects them. I don't know. It just, that's been something that I love.
This is great. I feel like you are picking up on things that like most people who love One Piece also pick up on. I think the fact that you're already seeing those kind of connections this early on is just, I think, great. And something else I want to bring up too is, you know, you were talking about how everybody sort of had their own moment. Is there any character in particular right now that you feel like hasn't had that moment, or that you want to see sort of shine more moving into the next half of the story?
I think a lot of it just had, okay, I guess I have two answers to that question. I think a lot of it has to do with the amount of time I've spent with them. Both Frankie and Brooke, I really haven't spent enough time with them yet. Brooke obviously has had great moments with Laboon. And Frankie, you know, with Tom. I mean, everybody's had good moments. But those two, I don't feel nearly as attached to as the rest of the crew. Yeah. But I also, Nami, her arc in Arlong Park, I get chills, you know. Her arc was so brilliant, and the depth that we got from her character was just almost untouchable, you know. And then she's kind of pushed back as like a background character. She doesn't get to shine very often, and when she does shine, a lot of times it's just like done. Her character she offers so much that I really want. Yeah, Nami is a character that in my reread I'm like my first time through, I was like, oh man, she had a lot of potential. Oh well. But in my reread, I'm like, you're amazing. I need you to step forward, and you don't have to be, you know, some amazing fighter. You don't have to be a Robin or a Luffy or a Sanji. You don't have to be. No. You can be you, but I just need more attention on you. I need you to be in the front more.
I am so glad you mentioned that as well. I think like there's a lot of a need for more heavy Nami moments, because I think you bringing up Arlong Park and how great her story is there, like Arlong to me was the moment I got hooked on the series. So my history with it, I wish I could have gone through it like you're going through it right now, like where you're starting from the very beginning and experiencing everything. But when the series was first published in North America, it was in physical release volumes of Shonen Jump, so like the magazine in Japan where all these different series are published. And in Shonen Jump, in the North American version of it, I sort of was buying them because they came with little Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I was a kid at the time. I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and I noticed this weird series with like a rubber boy and these fish characters, and the story arc that was being published in the actual physical volume at that time was Arlong. So I started reading week to week in Shonen Jump alongside Arlong Park. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, and everybody's like, that's the moment that's going to hook you. Like, that's the moment. There's so many people are like, if you don't like it by Arlong, you're not going to like this series. Honestly, it's like, just don't even bother. So yeah, the fact that you picked up on Arlong stuff as well, and how great Nami is there, I think that's a great answer to that question. And yeah, you want to see more Nami. Good. I'm glad we are not alone.
Absolutely. And I agree with you that's where One Piece becomes One Piece. I actually have a video, my re-review of East Blue on Friday. I say the same thing.
Nice. Good.
Yeah, that's the spot where you really get to see what One Piece is capable of. Yeah, I agree. If you don't fall in love with it there, then I mean, that tells you what you need to know.
Exactly. And it's so funny too, because you had mentioned that you picked up the first 3 and then you ended up reading the first 12 as you were going through the rest of it. But I do feel like from the get-go, even upon watching your videos, it seemed like you were pretty endeared to Luffy. Like from literally chapter 1. Like you liked his naivete, you liked the fact that he's kind of innocent and goofy. So if you want to speak on that a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. If I would have reviewed the first 3, I would have said I really like this. I mean, the first 3 were great. I think Kobe's chapter was the only one that I was like, I don't like that.
to be fair, I am also a little bit of a Kobe hater, so you're in good company.
Okay, I didn't know there was a Kobe hater.
I think
he seems to be a pretty beloved character.
There are multiple Kobe fanboys. There's a lot of Kobe fans that are on YouTube, and I'm not really a hater. I like Kobe, but I think the moment for me that really actually endeared me to him, and which I think might be the same for you, was Marineford, right, where he stands in the way of Akainu, and Akainu is about to punch, and Shanks ends up showing up. That's the first moment where I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of like this guy now. But even when he showed up at the end of Water 7 Enies Lobby, I'm like, him again? Really? And Helmeppo at the same time, too. Both of them show up, and now they're working with the Marines. Actually, see, I'm going all over the place, but I'm just excited to talk to you about it. Let's talk a little bit about that reveal with Garp at the end of Enies Lobby. Like, how mind-blowing was that for you to find out, like, Garp is Luffy's grandfather, the connection with Dragon, and, what did you think about all of that and the family drama, sort of the Monkey D clan?
I think at that point, I was still trying to wrap my head around all the different mechanics of the world, because again, in the beginning, I didn't know how connected it would all be. So as we're getting a lot of these setup chapters, I wasn't keeping it all as close to me as I should have, if that makes sense. I don't want to make it sound like I wasn't paying attention.
Totally.
But there's reading, and then there's like soaking it in, you know? And I wasn't there yet at the beginning. So I felt like when I was in Water 7, I was still playing catch up a lot. So like, for instance, with the Dragon, I remembered him vaguely, but I didn't remember him, stopping the weather potentially.
Sure.
At the end of East Blue and stuff like that. So I was like, Dragon, yeah, I know him. So I don't think it probably hit me to the level that it was supposed to, just because of the way I read it.
Sure. I like that you brought up the Dragon thing too, because that's something that's impossible to spoil, because we still have no idea what's going on with that either. So that's great. So
Do you not?
No,
okay.
we're completely like we're just as much in the dark as you are. We're like, all right, give us those Dragon chapters. So we're really
not know what his devil fruit power is.
No, no. We're still in the dark. It's still a mystery. Which is so actually we could theorize that real quick. Like, what do you think his devil fruit power is?
I don't know, because Nami was able to feel and see and predict the weather change. So we know that it's not something that's just instant. It's something that actually works with weather, right? But then everybody said, no, this is impossible. So it doesn't make sense that he can control weather just as a blanket thing. It would have to be can he control moisture? Is it kind of elemental? And do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I love the idea of like a moisture fruit or something like that, right? Because you've got the weakness of the devil fruits being water. Like, that's the whole thing. You can't swim. And so what would be like the most OP devil fruit power is something related to moisture or like being able to control the weather. Yeah, absolutely.
Then I also think about the flashback in Post-War Saga, where he's the one that came and, saved everybody in the garbage.
Sure, area. Great terminal. Yeah.
Right, so I don't know. I have a lot of half-baked ideas about how the few times that we've seen him and how he's interacted in those times and what that could possibly add up to, and the answer is I don't know.
Yeah, no,
I like
fair.
the idea.
Yeah.
I like the idea of like him being able to navigate that fire because he has some sort of moisture power, so he was able to create a path or something like that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I see so many people in my chat being like, no, but not knowing is also a spoiler. It's like, look, on the topic of spoilers, I have a question. I actually have a question to ask you, because this is something that, week to week, it's very difficult for me to navigate as well. It's like the early release scan versions of the chapters will come out a couple days before the actual official release. And, at that time, I always sort of have to mute everything. I have to get off Twitter, can't look on social media, don't even want to look in my YouTube comment section. I cannot imagine how difficult this must be for you to remain unspoiled on this series, and what that's sort of been like for you to, like, one, stay out of the spoiler realm, and two, how you avoid it as you're moving and progressing into the next half of the series.
Right. Yeah. Honestly shocked at how much I've been able to avoid, because I've heard that there are people that will spoil you just for fun. They just want to ruin your day.
I get emails about it. I get fake sponsorship emails, people typing up like, we're big fan of your channel, whatever, like, we'll offer you this for a dedicated rate for this video. Oh, and by the way, blank, blank, blank. And I'm like, are you serious at the end of the email? So no, it definitely happens. It's definitely, people do get a kick out of it, but...
I may be setting myself up for failure in saying this, but I don't think I've ever gotten one of those. And if I have, I don't open very many sponsorship emails because, like, I have enough sponsors, so I'm not trying to take on more.
Sure.
I don't want to, like, oversaturate.
Yeah.
But I do open, like, fan email when people are just like, hey, I'm a fan of your channel.
Sure.
Or, like, I have my DMs open on Discord. And the fact that I haven't been spoiled, well, there was one spoiler that I got, and that was by a friend. It wasn't.
Oh, no. That was actually
online.
my next question. I was going to ask you, were there any spoilers that you know about, or things that, even before going into the series, you just happened to hear?
Oh, so going into the series, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything.
Cool.
So I had no spoilers. But yes. So I guess, do you want me to?
Yeah,
go
ahead.
Pivoting into another.
Okay.
No,
you're good. This is how we do it. It's a nice free. We got 2,500 people watching live. This is great. So people are loving this. There's memes going on in the chat. People talking about steaks for some reason. I don't know what's going on with that. Undulating is another thing too. I don't know. So I keep seeing a lot of this stuff. So we're good.
Okay, great, awesome, swell.
That means your fans are here. That's a good thing. So
yeah, they like to torture me. So anyway, I'm kind of an old lady in that I really don't enjoy social media. So I have a Twitter account just so I can keep the blue check mark so that nobody can pretend to be me.
Of course.
But other than that, like, I don't even think I know the password to my Twitter, and I don't really use Instagram or anything other than just Discord. So for my Discord, for my Patreon Discord, they're really protective over there, like probably a little bit too much, where they're just like, don't even, kind of like that, where they're like, just saying that we don't know yet is a spoiler. And I'm like,
exactly.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good.
It's
okay. But they just really, really want me to be able to really fully experience the story, which I appreciate so much. Yeah. Just not enjoying social media has been helpful for me to not get spoiled, and then just the protectiveness of the people that have come around me has been, it's been really sweet. It's been really, really sweet. So, as far as the spoiler that I heard.
Yeah, I was going to say, no, I was just going to ask you, so I am curious what that spoiler is then.
So I guess anybody that's with me, I am going to say a spoiler for what's coming up. Just very
minor spoiler warning.
Barely.
Yeah.
Well, apparently this is a spoiler that everybody knows.
Okay.
So I was chatting with my friend on the phone, and he was chatting with me about One Piece, and he was like, I'm not exactly sure where you are, but I'm pretty sure you're not to the time skip yet, right? And I was like,
okay.
Oh,
okay.
There's a what now?
Oh.
And it was before I had actually, I think I had just finished Impel Down and I was about to get to Marine Ford.
Sure.
And that got because I was already theorizing about Ace and I was already theorizing about so many things, and I was just like, if there's a time skip, that means something really significant is gonna happen.
Right.
and I already don't really believe that Luffy is gonna make it. And so
man.
now you want to tell me that there's gonna be a time skip, which means there's probably gonna be a tragedy, and it just kind of like it sent me into a bit of a spiral. And I mentioned it to my husband too. I was like, he just told me about the time skip, and my husband, who reads all my comments, he was like, you didn't know about that? Everybody talks about that. And he's never even read One Piece, but he knew about the time skip. He knew
there was a time skip, exactly. That's good to know then, that you were not spoiled on Ace or Whitebeard.
Oh.
That's fantastic.
Whitebeard.
Good.
What's the spoiler for Whitebeard?
Well, Marineford,
that he dies.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I was like worried for a second. I'm like, hold on a minute. Wait, what about? Yeah.
I have. Yeah.
Okay,
I have.
good.
Sorry.
No. I'm like, oh my god! I thought you said you finished it. I just watched your post-war video. I'm like, what?
No, I was thinking, is he related to someone? What's his big affiliation in the grand scheme of things? Is he actually secretly a naval person, or I spiraled.
Yeah. So I'm curious then. Which impacted you more? Was it Ace during Marineford or Whitebeard? Like, whose death impacted you more? It was Ace?
It was Ace. So I loved Whitebeard so much because of how much he represented, a parental figure, especially an adoptive figure. One big theme in One Piece is that family is far deeper than blood.
Yeah.
And I'm at the tail end of my adoption, so I'm just like,
congratulations, by the way.
That message hits me hard. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That messaging hits me hard, and it's a messaging that a lot of people don't accept. A lot of people have a hard time understanding, like, oh, how could you love an adoptive child as much as your blood child or whatever?
Sure.
And that's a conversation that's difficult for me to have, because I'm like, how could she think that I wouldn't?
Yeah, of course.
I think one really amazing thing that stories give to us is they give us a perspective that isn't our own, and they help us to see the world a little bit differently.
Yeah.
The fact that Oda puts such a focus on this thing that's very significant to me and helps to shed light on how valuable family is and where you come from isn't always what determines that, or it's not the end of what determines that. Showing how holy someone can be your family. They don't have to be blood.
Right.
I don't know. It just means a lot to me that that's a theme that he has chosen to consistently over and over again put into his story, and maybe help people see a little bit broader, see a situation that's a little bit different from their own.
Yeah.
So Whitebeard means a lot to me because he's kind of like the encompassing representation of something that Oda from the very start had showed us over and over and over again.
Right.
But it was still Ace, just because Luffy means so much to me.
Oh, yeah.
And so I attached to Ace. Ace is cool, but I attached to Ace because of how much he meant to Luffy.
Sure.
And seeing Luffy experience that loss, that hurt. And plus, too, I knew Whitebeard was going to die from the very beginning.
Well, of course.
There was foreshadowing.
Not just that, but I mean, you literally see him like with the IV in his arm when he's on the ship and everything. So you're like, all right, this guy's not making it out of this alive.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And Oda's great at foreshadowing.
Awesome
and there's
at it,
foreshadowing all over Whitebeard.
Yes.
So, as soon as he enters the scene, I'm just like, oh, you're going to sacrifice yourself here. I get it. Totally.
Right.
I'm down for this. But with Ace, I had some hope.
Yeah, just a little bit. I will highly recommend, actually, because you are a booktuber, first and foremost, so I do want to bring this up. Are you aware of the Ace novel that was recently published?
I've been told.
Have you read it
yet?
Excited.
No.
Okay, I highly recommend it. I got it right here. This is literally One Piece Ace's story. I've read it. I actually read it live on stream in entirety.
Oh, hey, what?
It is awesome. It is really good, gives you a lot of backstory for Ace, and I don't really think you need to read it before you get into the next half of the series or anything like that, but I definitely keep it on your radar. I think you will absolutely enjoy it, fleshes out his character even more. The main reason I asked you that question is because when I went through Marineford for the first time, one, I was spoiled on Ace's death. So I had known, because at the time I was like reading week to week. I was a fiend. I was in college. I'm like, going through everything. And it was spoiled in someone's signature, like on their forum that I was on. In the signature, it was like R.I.P. Ace. And the spoilers had come out like 4 days before. And so I didn't know when he got punched through. But when the next chapter came out and was called like Rest in Peace, or The Death of Portgas D. Ace is the name of that chapter. I was like, oh, okay, well, this is where we're going then, I guess. Like, this is what's going to happen. But the Whitebeard moment for me, it's so cool that you touched on like the found family aspects of it, or like what it actually means to be family. You see this with the Straw Hats as well, obviously, with Robin saying, I want to live, finally finding her own, and the stuff with Whitebeard as well. I don't know what it was, but that was like it was the second major time in the series. The first time I cried was Mary, obviously, but the second major time where I just I was letting it loose was Whitebeard's death, where you see the the check mark box of, he took 300 however many bullet wounds and all these other cannonballs, but like he never had a coward's injury, and you see the thing fall, and it's juxtaposed with that flashback of him talking to his family like, I'm talking about it and I'm literally getting emotional right now. It's such a great moment. And shout out to both Whitebeard and Ace. We love them both very dearly. May they rest in peace.
Absolutely.
But on the topic of death, I think this is why they call me the Segue God. We're gonna move into something a little bit that we actually discussed on a little bit earlier, which is how do you feel about certain characters surviving seemingly unsurvivable situations? So the one I had brought up, off camera, and the thing we were discussing a little bit, are the situation of both Pell and Pagaya. Pagaya being the grandpa and Skypiea of Conus, who survives Enaru's giant lightning attack and then is fine and partying with them, and Pell surviving the nuclear blast at the end of Alabasta, and then during Water 7 showing up reading, Nico Robin's bounty like nothing happened. So sort of what are your thoughts on this so-called Will of P? How do you feel about that? You're in good company. Would it help you if I say my thoughts first? Because I hate it. I do not like it. I've talked about this at length in multiple videos. I think One Piece is such a great series in terms of, the way they build character, and even making some of the absurdity of the series sort of make sense, where some of the things that maybe didn't really vibe with me in the very beginning, I'm still like, I could see this happen. But in a situation in which you're like an old man and you get stricken down by like a powerful lightning attack that's meant to obliterate, half of this island, or you're, a bird that survives a nuke, literally carrying this blast, and then you see the explosion in the air and suddenly he's fine. He's got a couple bandages on. I am not a fan. So.
Will of P confirmed, or is that a fan theory?
Will of P is not confirmed whatsoever. It's a meme in the fandom. Yeah, characters like Pell and Pagaya. Oh, let's hear it. Okay.
I'm going to throw something in there to disrupt that.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember in Island, the guy with the ox fruit?
Guy with the ox. Oh, of course. Yeah, Dalton.
Or something like that. What? Oh, Dalton? Oh,
in Drum Island?
Well, yeah. I don't know anyone's name, so you're probably right.
No. You're talking about, the guy in Drum
Munch
Island.
Guy. He was Munch Monk's.
Yes. Yeah, that's Dalton.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, cool. So he got speared through 3 times, I'm pretty sure.
He did?
And died.
Yeah.
And...
This is why I invited you on, Murphy. You did the exact same thing as me. This is why I knew we were vibing. This is good. That's good.
He died to the extent that they told us 2, at least, I think maybe 3. The villagers actually said, his heart stopped beating, he's completely dead. They said the heart stopped beating thing at least twice, maybe 3, I'll have to go back, but at least twice. And I just, okay. I apologize, I'm going to be a little bit sassy.
You're in good company. Please, be sassy, please.
Okay. When I talked about this on my Discord, on my Patreon, somebody brought up that Oda hates resurrections because he feels that it takes the stakes away.
Correct.
So he refuses to do it. I would submit that fake out deaths also take stakes away. It's not better. You're not doing better. And there are situations
Murphy's
where
the goat.
you narratively...
Yes.
You narratively tell me this character is dead. Like,
yes.
I have to trust the narrative. I have to be allowed to trust the narrative. And if you tell me narratively this person is dead, and then actually cool, we're good. Like, no.
Yeah,
takes away too.
I just like, I feel your energy. Just like we're sharing a spirit right now. No, this is fantastic. This is exactly what I was assuming that you felt like when I was watching those videos, because I'm like, I get so much flack for this on reviews, not just of One Piece, but like of other series that I cover and stuff. And it's that exact argument that I would argue that fake out deaths are almost just as bad as like the resurrection thing, because you're setting up something to actually happen in the story. You have this stake set in place, and then when everything's said and done, it's like, oh, but none of that bad stuff actually happened.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: is when an author is constantly faking, and he doesn't constantly do it, but when an author regularly fakes you out or does resurrection, especially if the resurrection doesn't even really work for the story, it's just like, I wasn't brave enough to kill them.
Right.
So if you're doing this stuff, then your readers have become desensitized to death now because they don't believe you. And so when a death comes, then the reader is robbed of being allowed to mourn someone, or they feel tricked and cheated out of a mourning that didn't count. And so then when this is a consistent theme, then when someone dies, my reaction is, nah, probably not. And then I move on.
Totally.
If the death was real, then I'm like, I didn't get to mourn you.
Right.
You stole that from me.
Which is, it's not to say that he doesn't do it in real time. Like, he's done it in real time with Ace and Whitebeard. But yeah, so much of the death in this series is predominantly in those flashbacks. It's things like Belle Mare, right, in Arlong Park, or you've got, other, I almost said something, so I'm glad I caught myself, but like other characters in flashbacks, right, who die. It's like, it makes sense. It's a flashback. It's part of the story. You don't need to see them again. But yeah, when it's in real time, it is sort of at the point, for me at least, where I get desensitized to things, and I'm like, okay, maybe this character is just going to survive. And so when it actually does happen, in the case of Ace and Whitebeard, it really does leave an impact. But just like you said, it's you aren't really sure whether or not to mourn yet, because you're not sure if this is actually the thing. Like with those two, it was clear.
Clay.
Oh, Bon Clay, totally, yeah, sure,
right.
Sure.
And Bon Clay might come back, I don't know.
Sure.
But when he died, my reaction was kind of like, did he? I didn't see a body.
Sure.
And if I did, would it matter?
The if I didn't see a body mentality is how I like going about it. Absolutely. It's like, did I see a body?
But it doesn't always matter.
No, I know. And it doesn't.
We saw his body.
It doesn't, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either. I don't think Oda uses it to the extent, because it's not even like, a lot of people have said like, oh, well, Oda won't kill anybody. And it's like, no, he does. Like, he
for sure.
kills people.
Oh, yeah.
Zoro killed a guy just to get his clothes. Like, it happens. They kill people. People die. But as far as people that we really care about, it does happen a little bit less. If we're attached to them and they died, then I do question it a little bit.
Yeah.
Unless people are like, no, they're really dead. And then it's like, oh, now I'm sad.
So I actually, while we're on the topic of death as well, because I see it as a meme in the chat right now, and I would be remiss to not bring this up. Are you familiar with Bocce? Do you know who Bocce is? No, okay. The character of Bocce. I'm gonna lay out a scene for you, right? Baratier, Sanji acting as a waiter. You've got the guy from the Marines having dinner with his girlfriend or whatever, presumably the woman he's trying to impress, and he gets the soup, and because he doesn't want to pay for it, steps on a little bug and puts the bug in the soup. The name of the bug. Yep. The name of that bug is Bocce. It has been confirmed by Oda. It's in an SBS. This is that bug has a name. His name is Bocce. And so it's sort of become a meme in the community. Rest in peace, Bocce. And so I just wanted you to be aware, if ever at some point someone mentions Bocce in your comment section, because it probably will come up because it's a meme in the community. If you're ever wondering, who the hell is Bocce? Like, did I miss somebody? Yeah. You didn't. You weren't spoiled on something. This was pre-time skip. It's the bug that he puts in the soup. So I wanted to let you know about Bocce. So yeah, the chat's going again. Bocce, LOL, Bocce, press F for Bocce. There you go. So I actually am curious then, it's sort of moving away from the death topic. It's sort of more into like theory territory without getting too heavy into theories, because I feel like that opens up a whole nother can of worms and also sort of like runs the risk of spoilers. What are some things that have been set up already in the first half of the series that you're really excited to like find out more about moving into that second half? Or like, what are stories that you really want to see fleshed out more? I know you had already mentioned Nami, but are there any other like aspects of the story where you're like, oh, I would love to see more of this island again, or I want to see these characters?
No, that's a good question. The first one that comes to my mind is I don't remember the name. The giants.
Oh, Dory and Bragi?
Little Garden.
Dory and Bragi,
Right.
yeah.
Right. So both Luffy and Usopp really understood them, and Usopp then got to help one of their kind, which I loved. But Usopp was really intense about them. Like, he was like, no, I wanna visit their island someday.
Right,
I will
right.
visit their island someday, right? And that kind of thing comes back around. So I'm excited for them to go actually visit their island, learn more of their culture, see more of the giants, and yeah, I think that that's very clearly, like, they have to go back with how intense Usopp was about that. And Vivi, know when she said, if we ever meet again, I hope you'll accept me as one of you or something like that. And like, I want her again. I'm ready to see her
Of course.
again.
We're
I
ready
hope
for
we get
Vivi.
to see her again soon. Yeah. So I know she'll come back around, and I'm hopeful that I won't have to wait too long because I'm dying for more of her. And I'm also really excited. So Perona?
Yeah, Perona. No, you got it. Perona. Yeah.
Okay, Perona. I'm obsessed with her, and I'm like building a cosplay for her. I'm obsessed
Are you
with
really?
her. I really
Oh,
am.
my chat. Oh, my chat. Well, that's fine. Well, please continue.
So like I love and adore her, and the fact that she's hanging with Zoro,
Yeah.
probably torturing her with her incessant herness. So we did not get enough of our Straw Hats when they were apart on their separate islands.
Sure.
And I really hope when we come back together, I just want to see her. I just want to know what she's up to. I want to know how she's doing, and I want to know how much Zoro hates her. So I really hope we get to spend a little bit of time with them before we move on.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought up Perona too, because that is a character I do not like. I've had many situations. When you said Perona of all people, there is this is not a spoiler at all. There is a character in a story arc later on in the series that I end up disliking, who is somewhat similar to Perona. Is kind of like that, sort of like that vibe and that aesthetic. I won't say more than that. But people who are longtime subscribers of mine know I am not a Perona fan, and in fact, I loved Usopp's fight with Perona and Thriller Bark, and I do really like that she was like hanging out with Zoro and Mihawk and all this cool stuff. But Perona never really connected with me the same way like Vivi did, for example, or trying to think the first half of the series. I love Nojiko, honestly, like Nami's sister. I love Nojiko too.
Yes.
Back in Arlong Park.
Isn't it confirmed she's dead?
Nojiko in Arlong Park? That's Belmare. Belmare is dead. Belmare, their adopted mother, is dead.
Oh, SBS.
No, wait, it's confirmed that in SBS Nojiko's dead?
I don't know as much as you, so if I'm correcting you on something, I'm probably wrong. But, okay, so she was wearing a bracelet,
Yeah.
and at some point, then Nami's wearing the bracelet. And somebody asked, does that mean that she's passed away?
Oh.
And Oda said, yeah. But maybe I'm wrong.
Whoa.
I could be remembering that wrong. I do have a bad memory.
No. Everybody in the chat, no. Everyone's unanimously going, no. Nojiko's not dead. Nojiko's fine.
right.
You're good.
Okay,
Yeah, you scared me
I'm
for a
wrong.
second. I'm like, wait, did I get
so
spoiled on
sorry.
something? What the heck? No.
I'm sure I'm misremembering something.
No, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Everyone's like, she's definitely alive. We see her. She's alive.
Okay.
She's been in cover stories. She's good. So no, she's
Okay,
alive
okay.
and well. Nojiko's alive and well. I'm sorry. Where
Yes,
were we going
I love
with that?
her
That's
too.
funny.
I'm so sorry.
No,
I love
it's okay.
her too.
It's
You're
funny.
right. She is wonderful, and I would love more from her.
That's so funny. That's funny. No, this is we do it live, folks. We do it live. So I actually, real quick, I want to bring up some of these questions because there's been a lot of people who submitted questions. So many people were excited to talk to you and sort of see where you are in the story and how you feel about certain things. And I want to pull up one in particular. This is from WUXIA Writer on Twitter, who asks, "What is your current Straw Hat ranking? From favorite to least favorite. You have to rank your Straw Hats live on stream. What's your ranking?"
I've been warned to never rank them because ranking is where people get mad.
You know what I'll do? I'll make this easier for you. I'll say, who are your top 5? And people can gesticulate from there what's going to happen, but just your top 5 in order.
All right.
Favorite.
I'll do it. I'll express my hesitancy, but I won't back down.
Let's do it.
So Luffy.
Number 1.
And Zoro. Now the Sanji fans hate me.
No, not at all. Our Sanji fans are very welcoming. You're good, so yeah.
Okay. I know that there's a rivalry with the fandom.
It's really, I'm gonna be honest, it's mostly between the YouTube community. You don't really see it many other places.
Okay.
It's because the YouTube community is so heavily focused on power scaling. There's a lot of aspects of like, is this character stronger than this character? Well, we saw them do this, but what about this? And that's, I think, where a lot of the toxicity between Zoro fans and Sanji fans comes from. It comes from like that question of who is stronger. And you know, and Oda's mentioned in multiple SBSs that he basically considers them to be the same, right? But yeah, that's, I think, where a lot of it comes from, is finding out like, okay, is Zoro stronger because of this thing or Sanji stronger because of this thing? So yeah.
Okay.
So you're more Team Zoro than Sanji.
I am. So what's funny is I was Team Zoro from the start, and then Sanji won me over to the point that he was actually eclipsing Zoro, and then Thriller Bark happened, and then I was like, meh.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that nothing happened moment is like, that's peak. I mean, when you see him standing there taking on all the pain from Kuma, it's unrivaled. That's one of the best moments pre-time skip, I would say. I love it.
I would also argue it was not a good look for Sanji in Thriller Bark. So, you know, Zoro had a great moment, Sanji had a bad moment.
Yep.
It kind of, it tipped the scales for me. so yeah, it's Luffy, Zoro. I would say probably still Sanji as my number 3. Then I would put Nami.
Yeah.
And then Robin.
Then Robin, really?
Oh yeah, I love Robin.
Wow.
Her morbid humor.
No. I mean that's kind of low. I'm like Robin at 6th. I'm like, wait a minute.
No, Robin was 5. Hey.
Oh, Robin's 5. Okay, cool. Okay.
I had Robin as 4 before my reread.
Got it. Okay.
But now Nami is really, really standing out to me.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I would say they're very close together.
Sure.
And could probably swap depending on the day, but today it's Nami.
Yeah.
Then Robin. Then I would say probably.
Wow, you're doing it. You're actually doing all of them. Then you're not just going with the top 5.
Doing them. I'm not going to back
you're
down.
Brave, Murphy,
I
you're
will
brave.
express my timidity, but I will not back down. Then I would say probably. Usopp, Frankie, Brook, Chopper. No, Usopp, Frankie, Chopper, Brook.
Oh, Usopp, Frankie, Chopper, Brook. Brook makes sense because you haven't spent a lot of time with Brook yet.
Oh,
so that makes a lot of sense to me. Chopper being solo is fascinating to me because I will say, I love Drum Island. I think of most of the pre-time skip story arcs, if I go back and like look at them and I had to rank them, Drum Island, just including pre-time skip, is probably a top 5 favorite arc for me. And that backstory with Chopper, the Doctor, that speech from Hiluluk on the peak saying, you know, when does a man die? When he's forgotten. Like, oh my God. That every single time I read that, it hits. Every single time. That to me is one of the best quotes in all of One Piece. I adore that speech. And for that reason alone, Chopper ends up way higher for me than I think he does for most other people.
So
and
I think that's understandable.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people love him. I mean, he's adorable and he's sweet and he's wonderful.
He's the mascot of the series.
I think a big part of it.
He's the one who sells merchandise.
And he's so selfless. In every situation, his first priority is saving people. Even if he's about to pass out, before he passes out, he's thinking, I need to help them, and then he passes out. You know, like he's so selfless and he's so giving. And I think a lot of it too is that I don't really watch the anime, so I don't see his voice. And I started watching the anime through dubbed, and his voice isn't great on dubbed. And subbed, he's Pikachu.
Yeah.
How could you not love Pikachu?
Of course. So actually, I'm glad you brought that up then too. Just to quickly transition with the anime stuff is, I literally just before we started this, I watched finally your reacting to your first episode of One Piece video, and you had mentioned that you weren't watching the anime. So have you actually gone back since then and started watching some of the scenes from the anime?
Not very much. When I was in Water 7, I was watching the anime along with it as much as I could, but I kept outpacing myself because I'm going to pick up a book before I'm going to watch a show. It's just my preference.
Naturally.
So I'm reading and I'm trying to keep up, as I'm getting ready to film or something. I've got that playing in the background, but I can never keep up. So I eventually just gave up. So I've only watched probably 10, 15 episodes total. And then my patrons will send me scenes after I big scenes after I read them. They're like, okay, now watch it,
Yeah.
So then I'm seeing some of the scenes, but I'm not really watching it. I do want to eventually, but no, I haven't very much. And I do think that it's not necessary, but watching G8, that was the first thing that I actually saw in the anime.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the first thing I saw in the anime. And that was actually really impactful for me because getting to see characters in motion, it added a lot to it. So I do think that watching the anime it only enhances the experience.
Absolutely.
So I need to do it.
Condioriano. Wow, that's amazing that you watched G8. I'm proud. That's great. So I will say this real quick, if I could make some recommendations. Absolutely watch the Death of Mary scene. The Death of Mary scene, the Viking funeral is... you will cry. If you want a good cry, watch them. Okay, there you go. I was going to say, I would also highly recommend, of course, Ace and Whitebeard is another key moment. I would say probably Hiluluk's speech in Drum Island. There's a little 5-minute short animation that's made, that's claymation, telling the story of Chopper, the entire backstory of Drum Island, which was the first thing that my girlfriend ever saw of the series. It was the very first thing she ever saw. And she was immediately endeared to One Piece because of watching that little claymation thing. I'll send you a link on Discord when this is over. Highly recommend you watch it. It's hard to find on the internet because I think there's only a Spanish dub that's available right now, but it's got English subtitles on it. Really good. And then if you ever want a good laugh, I wouldn't recommend listening to it and being like, oh God, this is amazing. What peak music. Look up the 4Kids One Piece rap. This is the intro for the original English version of One Piece. Absolutely listen to it. You've been warned, but nothing can prepare you, Murphy. Let me tell you. You gotta listen to it to yourself. I think people would love a live reaction from you of the 4Kids One Piece rap. I think this would become one of your most popular videos of all time. I'm telling you, you gotta do it. Or even watching certain scenes from the anime and just seeing your reactions to those certain scenes would be a lot of fun. And then the last one I'll recommend before we move on from this is highly recommend Luffy punching the Celestial Dragon during Sabaody. Oh, you've seen that one. All right, well, then excellent. Yeah. There you go. So you're already on a roll. You've seen most. Oh, and Bink Sake. Bink Sake as well. The whole chat said Bink Sake. The song at the end of Thriller Bark. So Brooks flashback. That's more impactful in the anime than it is in the manga, I would say.
I've always pronounced that Blink's sake, so I'm glad you told me the correct way to say it.
Oh, no, it's Bink Sake. So it's like the drink, sake, and then Bink's, being possessive of the sake. It's Bink Sake. Yeah.
Okay. I never understood
that makes a lot
why
more
it was called
See,
that.
because you're reading it, though. That's totally fair.
Yeah.
If you're reading it, you don't know. Yeah, Bink Sake.
I have been told to watch that, so I will.
It's very, very good in the anime. They did a great job with it. It's heartbreaking, and I think you're going to love it, so... Yeah, shout out again to the 3,400 people watching concurrently live right now on YouTube. So shout out to all of you. Greatly appreciate it. We actually got a donation from Myron12 saying, absolutely loving the stream. I read somewhere that Oda actually refrained from killing Pell because 9/11 happened around the same time, and he didn't want it to be in bad taste. Though it should be noted that that's just, of the time, not necessarily. Sure. Yeah, exactly. So that makes sense. We actually got another one saying, this is from WIS, saying, wanted to say for some time, Murphy, welcome to the community, all caps, a little bit of a hug emoji.
Thank you.
Lots of people saying the same thing. Lots of donations saying, welcome, my favorite readers talking to each other. This is great. This is, I'm gonna, do I ask you this question? You know what? This is a good question. Do you think we're going to be getting any more Straw Hats? And if so, do you think there'll be new characters or characters we've already met? or do you think the crew is complete at this point? What are your thoughts on that?
I do. Now I'm trying to remember. At the very beginning, when Luffy was listing off who he wanted, he said a doctor, a musician, carpenter. So like that's been fulfilled, and I think he even said, pretty sure he even said, I want a crew of 9. So that should pretty much indicate that we've got our crew.
Yeah.
What? No, I guess the answer is no. I don't think so, because it is pretty intentional with everything he does, and that does seem like solidified, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But I want Jinbei to be part of our crew.
Okay.
And I do have a bit of a theory about Buggy.
Oh, please fill us in. All right. Interesting. Okay. Buggy. Okay. Okay.
So Buggy is a character that fails his way into success constantly, right? So I do think, I guess one theory that I also have is that, okay, so at the very end of Post-War Saga, everybody is learning about what happened, right, through the newspaper.
Right.
But Buggy got a letter from the government. I'm just saying, we did just lose a couple warlords. Buggy fails his way into success constantly. And I don't know, we also lost some naval humans, but he's not going to be in the Navy. So, I don't know.
It's good you're picking up on that. That's good. I like that. That's good. Buggy, yeah, that's good. Good.
Okay. So also though, the thing is, he fails his way up so much, and I just don't really know that there's a ceiling to that. So I kind of sort of a little bit have a theory that like maybe he'll have his own crew that travels alongside the Straw Hats, and they have kind of a friendly competition or something. And I don't know, Buggy did say that he was going to be the Pirate King, and then when Luffy said he was going to be the Pirate King, and Buggy said, well, what does that make me, the Pirate God? And I don't know, man. He could. So I have this kind of joke theory that's half serious that, you know, Luffy keeps whittling away his life.
Sure. With
Gear 2. And then also in Impel Down, he lost like 10 years, plus all the times he used Gear 2.
Of course,
right?
Of course.
So our friend's not going to live that long. So it's possible that Luffy finds the One Piece, and then shortly thereafter, Buggy's with him as his pal, and then Buggy kind of takes credit and becomes the Pirate King.
Oh my God! Could you imagine? Oh my!
and then he's technically the Pirate King, but he convinces everyone to call him the Pirate God.
I do this for a living. I talk about One Piece almost every day. The idea that Buggy would take the credit for discovering the One Piece is not something I've heard really before, but I kind of love it. I actually kind of love that idea. I think that's really funny.
Impel Down, how many times did he do exactly this?
Because Luffy doesn't care about titles. Like, he says he wants to be the Pirate King, but realistically, like, Luffy's more about wanting to be the freest man in the world. He really doesn't care about, you know, if somebody else is going to take credit for something.
Sure, but I also think that destination is a really big motivator for him, and I feel like once he gets the One Piece, I feel like him just declaring that he's the Pirate King, having fulfilled his adventure, and then moving forward would be the ending that he would want. So I could see him just being like, I'm happy now, and finding his place to be, and then Buggy just being like, look what I did, guys. Like, he did all throughout Impel Down when everybody else was the muscle, and then he's telling these prisoners, look who saved you. Right. You know? Like,
that is such a good moment for me. I go back and forth on Impel Down a lot, but there have been multiple times over the course that I've, you know, been reading One Piece where Impel Down's my favorite arc in the series. I just think that was such a fun moment reading week to week, seeing what characters were actually coming back, seeing Crocodile, seeing Mr. One, seeing, you know, Buggy and Mr. Three sort of having this back and forth. Bon Clay, obviously, like, it was just, and then meeting Jinbei for the first time. Like, obviously, that was such a huge moment as well. Ivankov and all this stuff with the Newcomer. I just think, like, yeah, Impel Down is consistently one of my favorite arcs early on. But one of my other favorite arcs is Sabaody Archipelago, and you had just brought up earlier, you know, the idea of like other crews and allied crews and all this kind of stuff, and you know who would be working with who. Which of the Supernova characters that you were introduced to during Sabaody Archipelago are you like the most interested in? Which ones like really tickled your fancy? Or you like, God, I can't wait to see more of them in the story?
I love gosh, the one that saved Luffy at the end of Marineford.
Oh, Law.
I love Law.
Law, I will say, Law is my favorite character in all of One Piece. Law is
No
my
way,
absolute.
really?
Law is my favorite character in all of One Piece.
Okay,
yeah.
so we're gonna get more.
I
of
love
him.
Law.
That's
I love
good.
Law.
That's
I'm not
good
going to
news.
say anything else about Law. Not going to say anything else about him. But he is my favorite, and you're going to love him, I'm sure.
Yay! Oh, good. I'm so glad we get more of him because he's a character too that I want to see more from.
Yes.
Because like he's been really interesting to me because he's a competitor of Luffy's and he was determined not to be his friend, but he saved him.
Yes.
And made sure that he was safe. Made sure that he got to the island. Fine. And then even then he was like, we're not friends. He was just very determined. But I feel like there is a friendship and a camaraderie that will develop between those two. And I'm just dying to see it because he's so cool.
He is so cool.
Yeah, right? I think Kid is probably one of the other ones that has a bounty higher than Luffy, yeah?
I'm trying to think at the time of the story. I think he might. At the point in the story.
I can't
I think he
remember,
does.
so it's okay. You don't have to guess.
I mean, he's up there though, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, he's one that interests me just for that reason. But as far as like character design or what I've seen of them so far, Killer has an interesting character design, and Magician, the fortune teller guy,
Hawkins, Basil Hawkins. Yeah.
His powers and his demeanor, his like, I'm not gonna die today. Like that. Oh man, I need more of him.
Oh, I'm so excited for you to read more. I'm so excited. I can't wait. Like I said, it's been so refreshing seeing you go through this with a fresh set of eyes from the perspective of someone who's more of a booktuber than somebody who does, like shonen reviews all the time. Because, speaking from my experience of doing manga reviews, I've been doing this since I started YouTube. I've been covering not One Piece necessarily, but lots of other series, and you start to notice like tropes in pretty much every series. You know the shonen protagonist and the villains and parallels and all this other kind of stuff. And while One Piece does succumb to some of those tropes, I would say at the same time, like, the world building is unmatched in One Piece. The world building is truly unlike any other shonen that I've read. And while we're on the topic of shonen, I have to ask you this. Obviously you must be thinking about this moving into the future. Are there any other manga series that people have been asking for you to read and like binge through in the same way as One Piece? So which ones are on your mind right now? What are ones that like people keep reminding you of that you're like, okay, I have to put this on the back burner, say, okay, people are talking about this one, I need to read it?
Okay, so I don't know all the terminology yet, so I could be wrong. But as far as shonen goes, I'm pretty sure the ones that are on my list are Hunter x Hunter.
I will show you right now. I own literally every volume. I own every volume of it. Absolutely adore it. That's good. You're on the right track already.
I was like, there's 2 volumes?
Oh, no. Okay. There's like 20. There's 20 something. Hunter x Hunter is a series that's eternally on hiatus, though. The author will take a lot of long breaks. I would actually, I would say maybe if you're at all interested, watch the anime, because the anime has a really good stopping point where even if they were to never make another chapter of it ever again, it acts as sort of like a nice conclusion to the story.
Okay.
But if you need like what chapter that ends on, if you want to read it, you hit me up. I will let you know. I will mail you. Well, actually, I won't unless you can read Japanese. I'll mail you all my volumes.
Can you read Japanese?
No, I learn. I'm learning right now. Chotomata. I know a little bit of Japanese, but I'm trying to learn. Hunter x Hunter and One Piece and all these other manga series are a great way to learn. It's like so much of weird things that you would never know in Japanese. You learn from reading One Piece. Like you look at Ace's fruit, the flame fruit in the English translation of it is known as the Mera Mera no Mi in like a lot of other translations, which Mera Mera is like the onomatopoeia for like a fire crackling. And so you learn little things like that from going through over the course of the series. Or the like the 7 warlords of the sea, for example, is like the Shichibukai, which literally just means 7 warlords. So it's like you learn certain things over the course of the series. Okay, so Hunter x Hunter is a good one. What's another one that other people are asking for you to read?
Oh, actually, a couple that are really high on my list are not shonen.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, so I'm really interested in Fruits Basket.
Okay, good. My girlfriend will be very happy to hear that. She is obsessed with Fruits Basket. She loves it. So.
Cool. I read A Silent Voice, and so I really want to read To Your Eternity.
Yeah. Okay, good. Another good choice.
And I would say those three are the top ones that I'm looking at right now. But The Promised Neverland, have you heard of that one?
Oh yeah, I've read all of The Promise. I did multiple read-through streams actually of The Promised Neverland on YouTube, and have read through the entirety of the series at this point. That is one definitely read and do not watch the anime. Dear God, do
Good
not.
to know.
Outside of you can watch the first season of the anime. Don't ever watch anything else of Promised Neverland ever again, because the anime goes in a completely different direction and changes the story completely. And the less you know about the series, the better going into it. So I will zip my mouth up. I'm not saying anything.
So I have the first several volumes of all those. Well, except for Fruits Basket. I'm waiting for my comic store to get that in. But
Sure.
everything else I own the first several volumes of. So I have a good launching point, but I'm still, I'm trying to focus on One Piece until I'm
Sure.
caught up. And I might take a break for like Fruits Basket that's finished and is only 23 volumes, so it'd be, I could get through it in a week or two. But for right now, I'm still hyper focused on One Piece, so I have a big long list, but those are the top ones that
Sure.
I'll get to someday.
So a couple things then you mentioned there. One, you'd mentioned you have the volumes for them already. Are you predominantly reading physically or digitally? Like via the Shonen
One
Jump app?
Piece. Yeah, One Piece I'm reading Shonen Jump because I looked into buying that physically and that was not going to happen.
No. It's a lot of volumes, yeah.
Yeah, and I almost pulled the trigger, but then it's like, well, then once I catch up, I'm just waiting for a volume to be physically published, so I might
Sure.
as well just do it this way. Plus, it's a lot easier for reviews
Yes.
to just take a screenshot and plug it in.
Totally.
So, I'm doing that digitally, but my preference is physical reading, so that's probably what I'll do for any series that isn't 1,000 chapters long.
Sure. You bring up an interesting point too with like the volumes, and it's much easier to actually find and take screenshots of stuff in the digital version. Have you run into any issues using like panels or things like that in videos? Because this is something that most of us One Piece YouTubers are like always struggling with, is they are so
Right.
particular about like you'll get copyright stricken for having a panel from the manga or whatever, and you haven't had that issue at all yet.
Oh yeah, I've had tons of people warn me of that and
for
saying
sure.
people have issues, so be careful. I don't know if it's because I'm new to the space, so YouTube just isn't watching me closely.
I think it might be. I think it might be because you're doing it in bulk and you're not doing like week to week. Whereas I think week to week, like the most three recent ones are available on the website, but then everything else is paid. And I think if it's week to week and you're using screenshots, you're maybe more likely because they're searching for things like that. Whereas if you're going through like the bulk and it's pictures or like covers of the manga that are readily available already online, like it's the kind of thing that they're not gonna strike you for. Well, congratulations on that front. That's awesome. Because I was actually worried about that. I was concerned for you when I was watching them. I'm like, dang, is she going to get like a strike on any of this? Is she okay? So.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
No,
of course.
I don't know. For whatever reason, I haven't had any issues with it. I actually was talking about Avatar for a while, and I did get a strike. Not a strike. I got just a warning, just telling me to take it down.
Like a claim or something, sure.
Yeah, for because when I was doing Avatar, I was taking screen recordings of the series, and I was playing clips over me talking about it, and it was just a continual series of clips.
Sure.
Yeah, and I almost all my videos were fine, but there was one clip that was a little bit too long, so it was like no, right?
I think the trick is I think like 8 seconds. You can't go more than 8 seconds of a clip, and try if you can to mute the audio, because usually if you mute the audio,
what I was doing.
You're good then. You should be good most of the time. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was talking over it. I was talking about the series while I was playing it. And so I guess maybe that kind of spoiled me a little bit to where I was just like, man, I can do anything. As long as it's not up there too long, I can do whatever I want.
We got a donation, by the way, $20 donation from Cole Bliss saying, love seeing my two favorite YouTubers chatting about my absolute favorite series. Was super happy to see that Murphy loved Whitebeard as well. He is by far my favorite character in all of fiction. Chosen family in fiction is the best. So there you go.
Yeah.
Touching on what you were mentioning earlier, absolutely. I'm like trying to monitor some of these questions and be like, all right, what are things that we haven't talked about that are also safe to ask you about? Because I don't want. Actually, okay, this is a good one. This is from Joshua. I hope I'm saying your name right. Chavoya, ZK Josh on Twitter, who asks, has Murphy watched any One Piece theory videos regarding what she's already read? And if so, who do you enjoy watching in terms of One Piece theories? I would assume the answer is no. To remain
and
unspoiled.
I feel bad about it.
No, do not. Don't. I will tell you, do not watch my videos. Do not watch anybody's videos until you're caught up. when you catch up, feel free to. You are invited on the Reverie live streams. We are happy to have you, but do not watch our videos until you're caught up. We want you to remain protected and unspoiled. We want your best possible experience. I'm speaking on behalf of the entire One Piece community when I say that. Do not watch our videos.
Yeah, I appreciate that permission, because it is something that I feel bad about, because
No, don't.
You and several other, the Grand Line Review, and there have been several people that have commented on my videos and expressed their support, and that's so kind, and I really, really appreciate it. And I feel bad that I'm not returning. I'm not watching anybody.
No.
And it's because I don't want the algorithm to see that and then be recommending me One Piece videos and then potentially get spoiled through thumbnails or titles or something like that.
The algorithm will spoil you for sure. It'll throw things in your recommended every week, and you'll be like, "What the hell?" So don't until you're caught
and I'm
up.
already getting recommended some things just because my friend Daniel is also reading through it. And
actually, Daniel Green is his name, right?
Yeah.
When I announced that you were going to be on this, everybody was like, "Get Daniel Green to do the next one," and I'm like, I haven't watched him yet, but now I got a recommendation from you. I got to watch him. I got more videos to binge. This is great.
Right. So Daniel and I are really good friends.
Great.
And yeah, he started his read through shortly after I started mine, and he has really fallen in love with the series as well. So I watch his videos. I want to support him. I want to chat with him. And of course, that's kind of messed up the algorithm a little bit for me. I thought I'd be safe because it's like, I watch all his videos. The algorithm knows I watch his videos.
You said he's starting the series now, so I'm assuming he's not beyond where you are, right?
No, he started just a little bit after me.
So you're good then. Yeah, you wouldn't get anything recommended.
No, but then the algorithm sees that I'm watching One Piece, and then it's like, well, then you'll like this one, and you'll like that one, and you'll like this one, which it hasn't been too bad because I'm only watching him. So I don't know, the algorithm, I guess, hasn't picked up on it too much. But yeah, that's something that I'm afraid of. So I'm trying not to. I've actually even pulled back on watching his videos because I'm just trying really hard not to be spoiled.
Watch a lot of things that are completely unrelated. Have a tab open and some separate tab, do like Disney park tours or something, and just have that playing. And then all your recommended will just be like, looks at the Disney park, like 5 new things at Disneyland to try today, and you won't see anything anime related.
I watched a video yesterday about Dark Academia, and now it's like, that's all YouTube things I care about. Yeah, and I'm just like, I just wanted to know more about the genre. Like,
Sure.
I don't care if you decorate your room with a Dark Academia aesthetic.
That's so funny. We got a question here from Austin Smith, who says, will you switch to week to reviews when you catch up? P.S. Daniel Green actually got spoiled with Marineford. He jumped on around that point. Oh, that's a shame. But I guess on that topic, that was something I was going to ask you too, is like, what do you think you're going to do moving forward once you actually do catch up? Because, I mean, realistically, with the pace that you've been moving with the first half of the series, even if you are taking a break and doing a reread, it does seem like you're going to catch up pretty quickly. And if that's the case, are you going to wait like for story arcs to be over and like read them week to week and then do a video when the arc is done? Or, what's your plan there?
I don't know yet. As far as my reread goes, I'm only rereading through the end of Skypiea, because that's the point where I was like, okay, I'm hooked. So I'm rereading the parts that I wasn't like soaking in to the extent that I am now.
Yeah.
And then I'll get back to week to week. And not week to week, sorry, back to
what you mean.
Arcs that I haven't read.
Yeah, sure.
But as far as week to week goes, I don't know yet. It's a bit away. I'll be taking a little bit of time off where I'll just be doing, character study videos or ranking videos or stuff like that while I'm on maternity leave after the adoption is complete. So there will be a chunk of time there too where I'll have One Piece videos up, but it's not going to be reviews. So it'll take me a bit to get there, and I don't really know because, like I was telling you before this started, there are some chapters where I read and I'm like, oh, we could talk, right?
Right.
But then there are other chapters where I feel like I can't make a video off of this. It was a good chapter, but there's just not enough. I need more information before I can really say anything about it.
Yeah.
So I don't really know that week-to-week videos. I don't know, maybe I would do like one a month talking about those 3 or 4 chapters or something like that.
If I could offer a little bit of advice as somebody who does week to week, do not flood your channel with them because that's all people are going to ask for. I would say I would highly recommend not doing week to week, doing the binge of the arc, especially now. I mean, you could see, I know you're not watching other One Piece YouTubers and things like that to avoid the algorithm, but there is absolutely a trend with YouTube right now of like bingeable content, of like doing a lot at once. And I do feel like I'm in a lucky situation where, I already have a pretty big One Piece audience. And so every Sunday when the chapters come out, we do like a 1 hour live stream, talk about the chapter live, sort of doing a live review. We'll have like super chat theory discussions, and it's a lot of fun. And it's like event every week.
Yeah.
That is fun, but there was a time in which I was doing live reaction videos and review videos and theory videos and cranking out like 3 One Piece videos over the course of like a weekend, and it became like so much that I realized I gotta put the brakes on this and sort of like pull things back a little bit. So I can only imagine, especially if you're like coming into it new and you're just now catching up and you're thinking, all right, what am I going to do in the future? The other thing I would also say, as a little bit of a heads up moving into the second half of the series, is story arcs do get, for the most part, like longer. So there is a lot more content to digest per story arc moving into the second half of the series. I'm not going to say anything about the current arc we're in right now, just because, again, I don't want to spoil you on anything. But the arc we are currently in week to week is the longest story arc in the history of One Piece so far.
Okay.
And the
No,
other...
there's one that's 100 chapters, so...
And that's the one 3 arcs prior to the one we're in right now. and so the one we're in right now, I think 2 months ago or 3 months ago, surpassed that story arc. So you're in for a long haul. Even the first one, when you come back to the series, is going to be a relatively long one. So buckle down. Don't stress yourself out. Don't try to go through an entire arc and then put everything in that one video, unless you want it to be like a nice hour-long discussion type deal. I would say take your time with it. That's absolutely my best advice. And we'll be here for you. Obviously, we're all watching your content with bated breath, waiting to see what you think of some of these characters coming back and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've been really... I mean, this community has been very supportive, incredibly kind and welcoming and excited. And, when I mentioned that I was going to do this reread and not continue forward right away, I didn't know how people would react, but everybody's like, yes, do it. Like, find all the mysteries, see all the connections. It's a very supportive community where I kind of have a joke on my Discord now where it's like... the One Piece community is basically saying, like, okay, read the whole saga in one sitting, and I'm going to sit right next to you, and I'm going to watch you do it.
Exactly.
Like,
that's what it is. That's what you're doing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm like, I think I'll stop here. I'm going to take a break. And they're just like, yeah, good idea. Savor it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's like the excitement's there. But then if I ever say, like, oh, I'll just talk about this right now, and they're just like, awesome, cool. Let's hang out.
Take your break. I'll be here. I'm waiting for it. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. It's kind of like a puppy where it's like, okay, I'm ready, but it's okay. Take your time. It's just like the excitement level. But it's wonderful. It's been a really amazing community to dive into. I've had a wonderful time.
Good. That's what I like to hear. We actually got a question right here from how do I say your name? Hold on, let me double check. I do not want to get your name wrong. You know what? Multiple people have asked this question, so I apologize. You know who you are if you asked this on Twitter. Question I'm going to bring up to you is, of the Warlords of the Sea, I know we talked about Buggy a little bit earlier, are there any other Warlord characters that you're like, God, I want to find out more about them. I want to know like what their deal is. Is there one in particular?
Confirmed to me that he is a warlord.
Wait, what are you talking about?
He just confirmed that he's a warlord.
Who?
Buggy.
I didn't say that.
Did you not?
No.
Maybe I misunderstood you.
No.
Well, you said of the Warlords of the Sea. You just mentioned Buggy. I was excited.
No. During this discussion with Buggy, I'm like, no, let's not. You're getting ahead of yourself there. I'm like, no.
I was not mad. I was happy. I want him to be a warlord. Okay, go ahead.
No, but are there any in particular? Because I just say, because you had mentioned Buggy earlier, that you're like, God, I want to see more from them. Like, what's a character?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I'm not trying to make the chat attack you.
Oh,
I was
don't
excited.
worry. No. The whole chat's going, no, you're all good. You're good. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, of the warlords that we have established that I want to see more of, it's a good question. Smoker's not a warlord. I'm trying to think, because I really like him on reread, but he's higher up in the Navy.
Actually, real quick, if we could sidestep, but then when you're thinking about it, talking about Smoker, that's fascinating that you bring him up too. What about Smoker like intrigues you? Because Smoker does seem to be a fan favorite early on in the series as well. When you go through Logtown for the first time and you're starting to like understand these other characters that are within the Marines, they're not all necessarily like totally horrible. You see Smoker giving the ice cream back to the kids. So like, what sort of is the thing about Smoker where you're like, I want to see more of him?
I think there's two things. It's what you just talked about, that he genuinely seems sweet, and Even that scene with Ace when he's looking for Luffy and he sees Ace and he's like, I'm not here for you. And it's almost like he's frustrated because he's like, I don't want to take you if I don't need to, but we're here, so I got to do my job, right?
Of course.
He just genuinely seems like a good guy that is doing what he needs to do, right? But you get so many moments of humanity with him. But then also for me, a lot of it has to do with his assistant, the sword lady. You know who I'm talking about?
Of course, Tashigi.
Okay.
Naturally.
She is so unbelievably lovable.
Oh, she's the best.
From the jump. Yes. And the fact that she's affiliated with him instantly makes me like him more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So he's sorry.
No, go ahead. Please continue.
I was just going to, from there, jump off into your Warlord question. So
Yeah,
if you wanted to...
No, you're good. Please continue.
Okay. Doflamingo is the worst thing that's ever happened to this series, and I hate him.
Okay, we're getting some spicy texts. That's what I like to hear.
That's not true. He's not the worst thing that's happened to the series. So that would be Absalom. But I do hate him.
Ladies and gentlemen, yes. Murphy, yes. Yes.
I do hate Doflamingo. So I don't want to see any more from him. He could choke. But let's see. Who do I like? I really like Boa. Let's see, Moria's dead. Great, thanks Doflamingo for killing him. That's one good thing you did. I'm trying to think of who else is left. Crocodile is still a warlord, yeah?
I'm gonna play poker face on that. I'm not sure.
Okay, that's fine.
When certain things get revealed, I'm not sure.
Okay. That's fine.
I got hot water earlier too, so I'm like playing it real careful now. So.
He's in Impel Down. He's in the prison, so
correct.
he's not a warlord anymore.
Right. That's good.
All right. Yeah. No, he's not. Let's see who else is. So I know Jinbei's not a warlord anymore, so he doesn't count. Blackbeard's not a warlord anymore, so he doesn't count. Who's still a warlord?
Mihawk, Hancock, Doflamingo. By the end of Marineford, I'm trying to think. I think that's.
Well, it's okay. Mihawk is the answer to your question. He's the one that's the most interesting to me.
Interesting, and that makes sense considering you brought up Perona earlier as well when you were talking about.
Sure.
Like some of your favorite
and
characters.
Zoro.
So and Zoro as well, naturally.
Yeah.
So then, that is actually another question I want to ask you then too. This isn't something that was brought up in the chat, but I do want to ask you about it. What do you think is going on with Zoro and Mihawk? Like, where do you see that story progression
that's
going?
A great question.
With him becoming like wanting to become the world's greatest swordsman, and Mihawk seemingly already having that title. Like, what the dynamic of him training him over the time skip? Like, what's going on there?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I see so many parallels between the two already. Like when Zoro cut his stomach when he was fighting the unicycle guy, and he was like, it's a handicap, so that if anybody sees me, beat you, they know, And Mihawk pulled the same thing when he was like, here's my toothpick.
Sure.
I don't fight bunnies with cannons. And there's the amount of respect that Zoro won from Mihawk in that fight. Where he asked Zoro his name, said he would remember it, and then chose not to kill him because Zoro was such an honorable swordsman and he clearly cared about his craft and respected his craft. There's parallels there already, and there's a level of respect there already that I see, and I don't know, but the fact that Zoro's fighting for someone else and trying to gain this title for his childhood friend, I wonder if we're going to get a little bit of backstory on him and see a similar drive from Mihawk that we have from Zoro. So I could see that happening. I feel, I don't know if I could anticipate some sort of mentorship from him, or if it would be kind of like a reluctant, grumpy mentor of, fine, I'll help you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But really, it's like, I love that kid, but I'll never tell him. Like that sort of thing. I don't know what kind of relationship they'll have, but I do think that he's one that we'll get more depth from, and get a little bit more background and a little bit more motivation from. And I think that when they do spar again, it'll be a spar of respect and not of like showing off or cheap
Absolutely.
tricks to humble or that sort of thing.
Like a
So I'm
real
really looking forward to
1v1
that.
fight against each other, right? Where they're both
Yeah,
like now at the
yeah,
level
and one
where
where
we
it's
can
like-
fight.
Yeah, and kind of like, you know how the Giants they're battling and they love the fight and they love this, you know, they want to see who's going to win, but at the end of the day, they care about each other and have a level of love and respect for each other. And I
Yeah.
could kind of see, not that same thing, but I could kind of see something similar to that with them, where it's like, okay, it's time for
Sure.
me to fight my equal, you know,
Sure, sure.
two people respecting each other.
Right on. I'm glad you bring that up. While we're still on the topic of warlords as well, we got 2 questions. We're going to wrap this up relatively soon. I don't want to keep you because I know you're very busy. So we're going to wrap this up real quick. But we got 2 other questions. One about Crocodile, asking if you have any theories regarding Crocodile and when Ivankov said that Crocodile has a secret. What do you
Sure.
think is going on with that?
I mean, I reckon it has to do with the hormones stuff. So it could be that Crocodile, you know, was born a woman, and he is a man now because of Ivankov. It could be that he was previously in a relationship with Ivankov, you know, and like he has this tough guy exterior. So he
Right,
doesn't want
exactly.
people
And he's
to know,
actually a
you know, like
softie
that sort of
hanging
thing.
out in Newcomerland.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or even just like, I mean, it could be as simple as he's closeted. Like
Yeah.
it could be anything,
Yeah.
right? But I do reckon it has something to do with Ivankov's very comfortableness with his fluidity.
Sure.
And Crocodile is kind of like take a step back, tough guy sort of demeanor. That there's a connection there that he doesn't necessarily want people to know about because it could hurt his reputation.
A lot of people in the chat saying, "Oh, we're glad that she's heard that theory as well," because that's so many of us are also speculating on that. Like, what the heck is the deal with Crocodile and that secret? So good to hear that you've heard that. We got a $50 donation from Gabe Ortiz saying, "It's always nice to see new people join the community. Welcome to the community, Murphy. Looking forward to your next video." And then some of these we could sort of do like lightning rounds on for these last few. This one comes from I hope I'm saying your name right, Velasa Pablo, saying, "Hello, Murphy and Roger. Really enjoying the stream a lot. I would like to ask, given that Murphy's more knowledgeable in books, in what book genre, not manga genre, would you put One Piece?" So I guess if you were going to classify One Piece as a book genre, how would you classify it? I think I'm reading that question correctly.
It's fantasy, obviously. I called it absurdism in a video recently, and somebody was bothered by that because I think it's like absurdity or something like that. But basically kind of like Discworld.
Sure.
Like that.
Sure.
It's intentionally off the wall, but like it's intentional and, you know, connected and that sort of thing. So I would say it would fall between those two. Adventure genre.
Yeah, I think adventure is probably what I would say too, like an adventure fantasy. I know, well, Treasure Island isn't really like an adventure fantasy. It's more like a pirated. Well, I guess it kind of is. Yeah, well, because they don't have like
fantasy, but
magic
it is
powers.
adventure.
It's definitely adventure for sure. Exactly. We got another one real quick. This is from Marcus, who says, "Guys, how are you doing? Absolutely love the stream." Oh, we did this already, actually, which is your Straw Hat ranking. So rewind the video. You'll see our Straw Hat rankings. Gizmo says, "Crazy to see you two together. Can you ask, what are your favorite thoughts on hockey so far? And do you see it being fleshed out in any meaningful way moving forward in the series?" So the hockey that was introduced, of course, in Amazon Lily.
Yeah, no, I think that it's our next power up, kind of like how Gear 2 and Gear 3 were. It's definitely a game changer. For instance, that we can, you know, if someone's in their fluid state, like Crocodile when he's sand, that we can now hit him.
Sure.
That's a big deal. And it also just answers a lot of questions. You know, obviously we've seen hockey, not just on Amazon Lily, but Garp has used it, and we've seen Shanks use it. We've seen a lot of people use it. We just never really understood what we were seeing. So it explains a lot of the phenomenons that we've seen, a lot of the breaking of the magic system that we've seen. And now that Luffy's going to be able to do this, is not breaking, but that's how it looked at the time. But now that Luffy can do this, I reckon this is his next big power up. So I definitely think that it's going to be more fleshed out and be a big deal. I just don't know how or why or what.
And I won't say anything there. Like I said, I'm steering clear of that. Stefan says, "Murphy, what do you think of the strengths and weaknesses of anime manga as a storytelling medium compared to writing? And what do you think writing has over anime and manga? Thanks, and love you guys both so much."
Okay, so prose writing, I assume.
Right.
Okay. How are they different? It's totally different. With prose, which a novel,
of course,
is yeah. So with prose, you're essentially yes, exactly. Yes, Ace's book is prose.
Right.
So, all right, I'm gonna call.
Oh, no worries, you're good.
With that, it's there's a lot more opportunity for beautiful prose. There's a lot more opportunity for really establishing an environment and helping you to see, taste, touch, feel everything without seeing anything of it. It's all in your mind, right? So you create your own images. With manga, I'm not creating any of these images myself, but I'm seeing it all, which makes it feel right there in front of me.
Sure.
But it also has a different feeling to it. Like, I don't know how I would imagine One Piece if I were to read it in prose, right? Because it's all right there in front of me. I think that they both accomplish the same thing, because one is helping me to create it in my mind and one has already created it for me. So you need less words to accomplish that. So I don't know. They're obviously very different, but they're just accomplishing it in different ways.
Yeah.
I think when I got into manga, I thought that manga could never have the depth that novels have because it's so few words. And I've been proven very wrong in that.
That's a big reason why I want you to read Hunter x Hunter, too. I'm so glad that that's on your radar, because I think, like, well, I won't say anything. But Hunter x Hunter, I think, is a perfect example of exactly what you're talking about, and how deep the story can get in terms of really not just telling a narrative, but the way in which it describes character and builds character. You wouldn't expect it from, like, traditional comic book. Like, if you asked your parents, like, oh, what do you think of a comic book, they would imagine, oh, really, amazing things drawn in the panel, like these great, beautiful pieces of art, but they wouldn't necessarily think of, like, the story that's being told.
Sure.
And so, Hunter x Hunter, and honestly, One Piece does a really great job at that as well. A lot of the other Super Chats mostly just covered the same thing that we've already discussed with, ranking your favorite Straw Hats, thoughts on certain characters. So I highly advise anybody who's asking those questions right now, rewind the video. Really appreciate the support from everybody who's in here right now. Thank you, Spark Jester, Kratos. We have Latho, Austin Smith. Thank you to all of you asking the same questions. This is the last one. This is the one I'm going to end on, because I think it's an interesting one, and it's one that everybody has to ask. And this is from Kenneth Williams, super chatting, saying, if you could have one devil fruit ability, what devil fruit ability would you want?
Oh, no, I don't know.
I'll give you time to think about it.
That's a terrible question. I don't know.
There's a lot of devil fruit abilities, so I feel like...
Oh, man. Am I a villain or am I a hero?
You could be anybody. Any devil fruit ability that you've come into contact with so far in the series, what would be the one that you would actually want?
I think that if I'm a villain, it has to be Blackbeard's black hole thing, because there's so much potential there, and he's got to be our big bad of the series. Every villain is saga by saga,
sure,
except he's gonna be it. I don't
and
know how we can defeat him.
So it's paralleled so much too in Jaya as well, where you get that moment with the pies, where Luffy and Blackbeard are going, "No, it tastes delicious. Oh, it's disgusting," and all these. There talks about dreams and things like that. So,
yeah, you're absolutely right. There's so many parallels between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I'm a villain, I've got to be Blackbeard. If I'm a hero, actually, I want to be... No, I can't do that. Okay. It's too hard. I keep coming back to my ghost girl.
Perona, really? The Horo? Yeah.
Well, because she can fly, she can make herself different sizes, and I know that she's just sitting in a bed the whole time, but it's cool.
That would be nice though. If you could just lay in bed all day and relax and have your ghost do your tasks, that'd be fantastic.
Just depress everybody except Usopp. I mean,
well, I wouldn't want to depress people. I'd want my ghost to go run errands somewhere. I'd want them to go do things for me.
That'll work.
Exactly. Go to Target, get some paper towels.
There's genuinely too many amazing ones, so I'm just thinking of the most fun ones to pick for myself. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And then I will ask this one last one too, because it's actually pretty good, and I think it hits on your content. So I want to say, if anybody who's been watching this entire time, we've been going for an hour and a half. Thank you so much for your time. This has been so much fun, Murphy. Seriously, it's been an absolute blast. If you are not familiar with Murphy's content, go check it out. Not only does she do awesome One Piece content, she does really great book reviews. If you're at all interested in, reading more, she's who you go to. You'll get some good recommendations. I've already been turned on to what's his name? Brandon Sanderson? Brian Sanderson? Brandon Sanderson.
Brandon.
That's, again, my Luffy moment. I'm saying Brandon Sanderson,
It's okay,
Brian
it's
Sanderson. But this last question is, if you could pick one book or series that you've read to be adapted into manga form, what would it be? And this is from Kratos in the chat.
Oh, no. Well, hey, Kratos. How's it going? He's, okay. I am selfish, and I'm just going to pick my favorite series.
Do it.
That's Gentleman Bastard series.
Okay.
Which, by the way, if anybody here is looking for a novel to read, pick up The Lies of Locke Lamora. It's so good.
What is, so quick, for people who are unfamiliar with The Gentleman Bastard, what is like the genre? What's the story? What's the elevator pitch for it?
Oh boy. Okay, so incredible friendships. Think Ocean's 11 and Oliver Twist. So
okay. Ooh.
It's
okay.
Right.
I'd be down for that. All right.
It's these orphan boys who have been sold to this man who teaches them to be liars and swindlers and thieves, and they are going to pull off the biggest nonsense heist in order to accomplish their means. High stakes, amazing relationships, and the humor is dark and hilarious and amazing.
Ooh, okay. When you said Ocean's 11, I was starting to think like maybe there's a comedic aspect to it, but yeah,
big time.
I like dark humor. I've always been a fan of dark humor, so that does actually sound like something that would appeal to me. So
get Mistborn. Pick up The Lies of Locke Lamora.
Look, all right, maybe by the next time, what we're going to have to do, when you catch up, you let me know when you catch up. We'll do another discussion after you've finished the entirety of the series. We'll discuss everything, and I'm not going to, I'm getting myself caught because I'm live on stream right now. So people can see me in 4K. They can see me say
Peer
that.
pressure.
By the next time we do another One Piece discussion, by the time you're caught up, I will read Mistborn. By the time we do the next discussion. So then I'll be brand new to the series. I won't promise I'm going to do videos on it, but I'll promise that I'll read it at least in my own time.
I'll have you on my channel and we'll have a chat.
There you go. That'll work. That'll work perfectly. That'll work. Well, once again, thank you so much, Murphy, for joining me. This ended up going a half an hour longer than we were expecting. We thought this was going to be a 1 hour thing, but it's great. The discussion has been awesome. I hope we didn't keep up too much of your time. This was so much fun. And yeah, please keep doing what you're doing. Where can people find you if they're not already watching your content?
My channel.
Just your channel, which of course will be linked in the description below. Absolutely. Once again, everyone's saying Clipton 4K. He's going to do it now. He's got to do it. Ricon's saying thank you so much for the stream. Really, this has been an absolute blast, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back with another 1v1 discussion with Rustage. I hope I'm saying his name right. Rustage, who does really cool like anime rap videos. So he'll be my next guest. And then I'll have to check out Daniel's videos. Maybe I'll have Daniel on as well if he's doing One Piece stuff. So you're turning me on to a lot of other people today, Murphy. This is great. So greatly appreciate you all being here. Like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, we'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye, everybody.